For the girls we were.
For the sisters we became. And the women we're becoming.
Hello.
Welcome to or welcome back to our channel, our podcast, wherever you are listening to us from. And say hello to Kanzi.
The mascot of the Girls Sis Man podcast. Say hello.
Say hola, Kanzi.
Hello. Alrighty, girl.
Like,
get to it. But welcome back. Welcome
back, y'all. And welcome back to season 3.
Relax.
No, not the lips. We had this conversation.
Listen, Esther and her were having a deep conversation about personal boundaries.
Listen, I just can't do mouth to mouth with the dog.
I don't either.
You know what it is? I'm too ethnic for this.
Oh,
we had conversations about this, y'all. And there are just things that I'm just too ethnic for.
Yes.
And like pets and stuff, they're one of them. Like, don't get me wrong, I have a cat. Lola has a dog.
Obviously.
And I tell you right here, right now, I do not do the kissing of animals.
Oh, I don't like her licking me or anything. I'll cuddle with her, but I don't be kissing. And I don't like her kissing me. She might be offended by it, but But
it is what it is. I'm like, culturally, I'm like, you're a Haitian cat now. We do not do physical touch like this.
You're like, knock it off.
And also, too, so we were talking about how Lola had to go to the laundromat the other day because her mom is like, I don't want you washing your doggy stuff in, you know, our human washers. And everybody was like, that's crazy. Meanwhile, I'm like, very valid. Very valid. I was like,
okay,
I believe.
Listen, let me present my argument, okay? If I wash my clothes first, and I wash my mother's clothes first.
Yes.
Then at the end, I put Kanzi stuff.
Yes.
If I clean the washer, who's gonna know?
I would know.
You would not know.
I would know.
First of all, she's short-haired. She's not going to get fur all over the place.
I would know.
Yeah. But again, she's too ethnic. There are lines that I don't...
I'm like, you know, I think it's just different for everyone. Mm-hmm. But I'm genuinely like, no.
No.
I'm like, I can't. I have friends, God bless them. I know that everybody has their fur babies and they treat them differently.
Yeah.
I'm not sharing food. I'm not letting you lick, you know, the spoon that I'm putting into the bowl. I've heard and seen.
Margaret told me a horror story. First of all, poor Margaret. Poor Margaret. I screamed for her. She went to a friend's house and her mom was making food and she was just, you know, stirring the pot. And then midst of her stirring, she picks it up, she licks it, or she tries to taste the food. She turns and bends to let the dog
lick it and then sticks it right back into the pot.
I would be like, I'm calling the police. You're going to jail. You're going to jail.
You're trying to poison me.
Like,
you're going to prison.
I just don't understand how you got to that conclusion. This is okay. This is sanitary. But you need help.
I'm like, you know what it is? I just know everyone treats it differently, and I'm not gonna judge anyone. I'll
judge you if you're doing something weird.
I'm not gonna judge y'all, but respectfully, do me a favor, don't offer me anything.
First
offer me anything.
I had the biggest crush on Ben on Tayshia Adams' season of Bachelorette.
Oh yes.
And he was so cute to me. And then one day I was on his Instagram and he had his dog in his mouth. And I said, no. Nah, we're gonna have to wrap this one up.
I will say, like, this is probably hindering my love life because, like, you'll like go on Hinge and people will be like, I love animals, and they'll put like a picture of them kissing their dog, and I'm like, swipe left. I'm like, I can't. Respectfully, I'm just too ethnic for this.
No, I understand. It makes sense. There are limits. Also, it's expensive to like be going to the laundromat every time, especially now that I'm saving up money to go see Beyonce.
Listen.
Renaissance tour.
Listen. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I do not have the wherewithal to save money to go see Beyonce.
First of all, Beyonce is expensive. She's pricey. She's $24 million in Dubai pricey. You can't afford her.
She's for adults with luxury money.
Yes.
And I say this because I'm like, y'all, like, even for the pre-sale, the Beyhive is not playing.
Oh no, the Beyhive is very much a cult. Okay, they don't play.
Listen, are they a cult or are they a fandom? And like, what's the difference between a cult and a fandom?
I feel like you could be both. I don't think it's not mutually exclusive. Like, you can be a fandom and not a cult, and you can be a cult without a fandom. But I think sometimes certain people's fandoms really give cult-like-esque symptoms. Henceforth, Beyonce's Beyhive and Nicki Minaj's Barbs. Just cults. Straight up cults.
You think?
Oh, for sure.
I'm like, I don't know that I would consider myself a member of the Beyhive. But I would be remiss if I did not say that Beyonce was not a musical icon.
Yeah.
She's it for this generation. Like,
she's
it doesn't
our
matter.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, she's our Michael Jackson. Like, I hate to say that,
but she is.
But it's the facts. Like, everything that Beyonce has laid her hands on is gold. Musical gold. Mm-hmm. Like, it's funny because I'm not even crazy about the Renaissance album. Like, when it first came out, I was like,
Me too. I was like,
But for the musicality of it, if you're listening to the notes, if you're listening to the way that she, like, is merging some of the genres, like, you could see where she, like, sampled pieces from different time and, like, brought it to modern era today. I'm like, that is genius. Yeah. Like, people used to call Kanye West a genius, like, musically. Oh, and he's quite gifted musically. Everything else I do not stand for.
We are not a Kanye support fandom, okay?
We are not. But I'm like, you have to give people credit where credit is due. And Beyonce, Giselle Knowles, Carter is a musical icon. And she deserves her coins. She does. And this Renaissance, it's a Renaissance.
It is.
It is a Renaissance. And I'm like, it's not my favorite album, but if someone would want to sponsor my going to the Renaissance, I'm in your fandom. Like, I want to be in that number when the Saints go marching in. I do. But yeah, the Beyhive can be pretty
local.
I wouldn't say local. I would say they're very they're strong-willed.
See, here's the thing. Both of us are not on Twitter. And I feel like if we were on Twitter, your feelings would be different. Because on Twitter, people are doing the most and saying the most atrocious things to other people. For example, this is not the Beyhives, but the Barbs. Kim Foster, she runs a YouTube page called For Harriet, and she does social commentary. She was on Twitter during that time where, like, there was this whole thing with Cardi B and JT.
Okay.
And so
Cardi B and JT?
Yeah, so what happened was, Cardi had that song with Tomorrow with
Glorilla. Prophetess Gloria, hallelujah. That's what I like to call her.
A wonderful name.
You might not love today, but there will be a tomorrow. Hallelujah. Come on, Gloria, hallelujah. Prophetess. You better tell them.
And allegedly, she's talking about Young Miami and JT. And they were going back and forth about, like, number one and all this other stuff, and people feel like JT was, like, being pushed by the Barbs because the Barbs were doing stuff. But the point being was, I think Kim was, like, reacting to all of this, saying, like, hey, Nicki Minaj is a real life mean girl. Because she was coming after Lotto, talking about, oh, you look old as hell, all this other stuff. And I'm just like, girl, leave Lotto out of this. But the point being was, Kim wrote, like, she's a mean girl. The Barbs did not like that. Oh, no. And so people, the Barbs, were like, okay, cool, and started attacking her, calling her all types of names, going in on her body shape, and all this other stuff. And then they doxed her information. So, like, they put her whole address on the internet. You can't tell me that's not a cult.
I'm like, yo, maybe and I don't even tune into pop culture like this, but the Barbs make so much noise. Mm-hmm. It's scary. Yep. I'm like, to some extent, like, we have to ask ourselves, like, are we fans or are we, like, sleeper agents? Because it'll be like, someone will say something, like, and it's like, we're on. Like, y'all literally, like, it's weaponizing your fan base. I think we have to ask, to what extent do celebrities have to have accountability over their fan bases? And I say this because, like, the Barbs, I think, were also the same ones this past summer that were beefing with Lotto, but also, like, let's just be honest, Nicki Minaj seems to have beef with a lot of people.
Everybody.
And I love Nicki Minaj. She laid a lot of the groundwork. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like after Missy Elliott, it's giving Nicki Minaj, in my opinion.
Of course, I agree. She's a talented woman.
So, but I'm like, but there's no reason to be fighting with a bunch of kids, bro. Because I'm like, Lotto and JT and, like, Meg, I'm like, bro, like, Cardi even,
like, they're
Prophetess, Gloria, hallelujah.
They're like 26 or 30. You're giving late 40s.
You're giving 40s. You're a mother, babe. Like,
well, we gotta be careful now because now they're gonna come after us.
I'm like, and I'm not fighting y'all. Like,
but they took it really crazy with Kim. They actually got her phone number on the internet and they started sending her death threats, talking about how they're gonna show up to her house and they're gonna kill her. I'm telling you, cult-like symptoms. It's sick in the head.
I would love if Nicki Minaj could prove her wrong in being a mean girl if she was like, stop.
Like this,
you know what I mean? Like
don't
this
do
is
this
not
in
right. This is not okay behavior. And also too, like we have to ask ourselves, like, yo, would Nicki Minaj ride for you like this?
Absolutely
No.
not.
I'm like, you love her music. You can stand someone's music and still be like, we could do better in a different area in our lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can and we should. On a real note, though, I'll say, like, it's a little disturbing how people really affiliate themselves with celebrities that they've literally never met.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm like, outside of their music, outside of whatever they're producing or selling to you, like, what do you really know about these people?
Not much.
Like, not much at all. And to give them full, like, autonomy over your life even, like, this woman paid $5,000 to go see Taylor Swift.
Not worth it. I'm sorry.
And I said, that is like mortgage payments multiple.
Like, why would you do that?
I'm like, I could not do it.
Crazy.
Like that's madness. Like, but Taylor Swift is a very gifted songwriter. Like Aretha Franklin said, beautiful gowns. I'm like, beautiful gowns. I'm like, she's not for me. I can't tell you the last time I listened to a Taylor Swift song.
No,
but also too, the prices didn't start off that way. It was still a crazy price, but if you want to go see Taylor and that's your girl, go see Taylor. But I'm like, that's unacceptable. I think that people really need to start asking themselves, like, you know, and respectfully, like, it's not even the concerts, but how far are you willing to go for these fandoms?
Oh,
like,
y'all need to stop.
I mean,
you all are being scammed. Like those people who sell NFTs. You see how many people are like, oh, I have this new virtual coin. You know, spend the money. You are being scammed by a scammer. That's not true.
Okay, I will say, I think that for when it comes to like the Bitcoins and things of the world, like, you know, the Doge coins, did I buy into some of the hype? Yes.
Oh, Esther.
I have no regrets because let me tell you something. When Nash goes to the moon, like there's this one coin called Dogelin Elon Musk, like, and I'm like,
okay,
listen.
I understand because that's Elon Musk and you think money, but like if you know, I don't know, Rita Ora is like, I'm selling an NFT. I'm like, why?
No.
For what?
But you know what it is? I think it's because they're taking advantage of the fact that people don't know what it is, but it's so popularized.
Yeah.
And like that's the thing too. Like I think a lot of us, especially in these fandoms, are being taken advantage of. Like I think Stephanie Meyers took advantage of you.
How? Stephanie did
Babe,
nothing.
this book is the Twilight book and then the Midnight Sun version. Midnight Sun was poo.
Actually, this is the Twilight version. This is the 10-year anniversary where it's Twilight reverse.
Oh yeah, so that's not even worse.
Shut up, Esther.
But I'm like,
this is what I like. It cost me like $20. I'm not being bamboozled.
You are.
No.
Babe, for Midnight Sun, which Margaret and Lola got me for my birthday last year, and I appreciated it because I did want to read it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, he gave us mostly grunts in that book.
Oh, he gave us a lot of...
She has brown hair. And like that was the whole chapter. And I'm like, ooh, fascinating. What's next?
Like, I'm like, babe, like that's not, you know what I'm saying? Like at this point, I feel like a lot of fandom leaders, cult leaders, whatever you want to call them, are taking advantage of the fact that like they know that they can weaponize or make a quick buck off of us because...
I don't believe that Stephanie Mormon Myers really was trying to do all that. I think she just had a dream and wrote it down. And it just so happened to blow up.
And then she had the same dream in reverse 10 years later.
Yes, she did.
And then she had 10 years after that, she had another dream where it was him telling the story.
Well, she was going to do it originally, but what happened was people leaked. Because y'all are trifling scammers. That's the word of the year. Scammer. But yeah, I understand. I think also, as somebody who enjoys Twilight, I'm not somebody... I do write some... I used to write fan fiction.
Okay. Tell us. What's your pen name?
I don't actually have a pen name. I never published it. I just wrote it for myself.
Okay.
Yeah. But outside of buying books and buying tickets to the movies, I did not give Stephanie Meyers any more money. I'm not showing up at Twilight Con.
How often do you rewatch the movies?
I think I watched it last year. I think it depends on what streaming service is
Last year, December?
No. It was
Like,
no, it was mid-year. The point
Okay.
being is it depends on where it is. Right
Okay.
now, it's not available on Netflix anymore.
Okay.
It's on Hulu with like a Showtime like add-on, and I'm not paying for it. Not just like that's what I'm talking about. I have a line in the sand that I will not cross. Like I'm not going to, kill myself, bleed my wallet to watch Twilight.
I will also confess, like I am also obsessed with Inuyasha, which is this whole different fandom, and I do write for them, and I won't tell you my pen name because I won't. But
It's between me and
it's between me and God. But it's funny because they had a sequel release called Yashahime, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolute basura.
Oh, that's the worst.
I felt like I don't know how to pronounce her name. I think it's Takahashi. I'm not sure. Don't quote me. Don't come for me. I felt like she shit, put a spoon in it, and fed it to me. Like I was like, oh wow, you don't respect me.
Oh no, Gaga.
Gaga. I'm like, and we swallowed it. Like I've never been so disrespected in all my life.
Oh, that's the worst.
And what's worse is like, this is what I'm talking about too. Like I know people who are viciously bullied online in these fandoms. Like it is a dangerous place to be because like, you'll write like your little fandom story and someone will be like, I don't think that the author would have liked it like this. And you're like, this is a land of pretend. I can write whatever I want.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I'll kill you when you're asleep. And you're like, okay.
I'm sorry.
I'll take it down. Like, it's a lot. And I just feel like at some point, somebody has to be responsible. And first and foremost, the responsibility falls on the individuals who are acting this way. It is completely asinine. There is no way. And what's worse is like the fandoms that we're listing are like adult fandoms. Like those who are in the Beyhive, y'all are grown. Those who are the Barbs, y'all are grown. Like the Twilight Lighters, y'all are grown. The Inuyasha heads, y'all are grown.
Y'all need to knock it off.
Knock it off. Y'all are not kids. Like y'all are bullying like 16-year-olds into killing themselves because they didn't agree that Roman's revenge was the best thing that had been. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, is that reasonable? Is that reasonable behavior? And why do y'all feel so strong about these things? Y'all don't even feel this strong. Well, actually, I was going to say that they don't feel this strong about religious cults, but
Listen, some people feel very strongly about Jesus in a way that I'm concerned. And I love me some JC.
I do.
But there's also people who are in the religious fandom who like to write some fan fiction. And I think that's the basis of these cults. Listen, I know you're not supposed to tell people like, oh, what you believe is wrong. Wrong, okay? Some of you have been bamboozled. Like, it scares me because as somebody who believes in God, in the Judeo-Christian version of God, I understand why someone who is an atheist or agnostic is like, so that's what you believe? And God talks about it. People are not going to understand it. When you got me looking at you like, so that's what you believe? You took what I believe and put a remix?
You know what it is. You know what it is. I will be devil's advocate. I will play fair. I think that, and it's actually funny because we talk about, fandoms and cults and things, and I feel like religion is also very interesting because it's like the original. It's like the OC cults, like the OC fandoms. You know what I'm saying? Like, and original characters. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's very interesting because like you at some point have to be like, yo, like what do I believe that could be like low key a little bit unbelievable? And like sometimes when someone like plays religion back at you and they're like, so you believe there are 3 people up there who are one person?
Oh yes.
Then they had a son, sent him down. He was one of the 3, by the way. You sent him down through a virgin. Like, she gave birth, okay, in a manger. I'm like, and then he was like, yeah, I'm gonna save the world.
Yes. I literally, the Trinity, I didn't understand that people don't like, it is so crazy. I had to explain it one day. I'm like, oh, I understand. You don't. I remember I was talking to somebody who believes in Jesus Christ but does not believe in the Trinity.
That's interesting.
Girl, lots of these Christians don't believe in the Trinity, right? They really believe that there's God, and then there's Jesus. And it's not like together. It's like pecking order. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's God, the Father, Jesus Christ the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and it's like a little cycle. Just one is the same, but God is God. Don't forget that.
But you see how that could be confusing.
Oh, for sure. But
and
I
how
always
someone could be like,
I use the water analogy.
Oh, like
water
in
can be
different
gas.
states.
Yeah, water can be gas, water
good.
can be solid, water can be liquid, and so water doesn't stop being water. It just stops. Like it's just
they're in different forms.
Yes,
and they have different purposes.
Gotcha.
Ooh, Lola, I like.
But some people don't just believe in the Trinity. They have made up a whole bunch of other stuff.
Okay,
the Mormons. The Mormons.
Lola's obsessed with that group.
First of all, also the World's Mission Society of God have approached me like twice.
Yo, they have a thing for Lola. Like Lola will be in the Target and like it'll be some like Lola loves Friends. I'll tell you that much. So like they'll come by and look all cute and they'll be like, I like your makeup, sis. And Lola's like, oh my gosh, yes.
I love your makeup.
And then they'll be like, did you know that squirrels are actually God? And you're like,
okay. Funny enough, when me and Esther started being like really good friends, Esther was like, I would love to take you to my church one of these days. And I
feel like, let me add like some context to that too, because Lola was on some, like, I'm really trying to get connected to God again, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, dude, like, come to my church, like, we'd love to have you. And she was like,
no.
She's like, what are you again?
Your church?
No. I won't be doing all of that. And I'm like, oh, pardon me. I didn't mean to offend. And she was like, I just don't believe that, you know, there's a mother God and he's in the trees and all these things. And I'm looking at Lola like, I've never, in all my days, I have never said anything close to those things. Like she made me sound like a lunatic. And I was very graceful and I said, okay, all right, thank you. I was like, you find God on your own, I'll find God on my own. That's all right. That's okay.
You don't understand.
Like, it was y'all. And she was literally looking at me like, she was like, I knew you were about to get crazy on me. I suspected you were capable of this.
Okay. She's a Seventh-day Adventist.
I am.
And maybe 4 or 5 years ago while I was in college, I was approached by a young lady. And I believe, you know, God sends people in your life to send you messages. So, like, for some people, they really believe that God talks directly to them. Mm-hmm. I think God talks to you through people. Mm-hmm. And sometimes he talks directly to you. So, keep your ears open. And so, this young lady goes like, hey, can I talk to you about God? And I'm like, sure, why not? Maybe he got a message for me. And who am I to say no? You know, God sends angels to talk to people. He puts people in places. She was like, oh, have you ever noticed, like, it's really weird that we go to church on Sundays when Sabbath was on a Saturday? And I was like, point, valid. Do you think it's really weird that we've been pushed, like, the whole eating fish during, like, Easter and all that other stuff? She's like, you know, it's because of the Catholic Church and all. I'm like, point. She's like, and don't you think it's weird that God said he made us in his image, but you're a woman? How could a man make you in his image? Because he did it. And I said, hold up. With
foul.
I said, and I just was like, she's a Looney Tune. I said, well, what? I said, huh? And she's like, let's think about this. If you have a father, you must also have what? And I was like, a mother? She's like, exactly.
I'm telling you, at this point, the hair on my neck was up.
I said, huh? And I said, listen, the Trinity itself is a hard concept for most people to, like, understand. And, like, you know, but now you're going to tell me it's actually a square? Now you're going to tell me there's 4 and there's a lady? Okay. She's like, yeah, God the Father made the men in his image, and God the Mother made us in her image. And you see her throughout the whole entire Bible, and people don't realize what they're talking about. So do you know what they're referencing when they say the bride of the church? And I was like,
the bride of Christ.
The bride of Christ.
Which is the church.
Which is the church. And I was like, she is the bride of Christ. I'm like, the church. And she's like, but who is the church? And I was like, we are the church. I was like, I'm confused.
Oh.
Nosotros? That is God, the mother. And I'm like, okay. She's like, and I would love to keep talking to you a little bit more. Can I get your number? Also, people, if you ask me for my number, I'm gonna give it to you.
Stop.
I have a problem.
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? When strangers ask you for your number, like men that you don't like, do you give your actual number?
I have a hard time lying.
Oh my god, no, Lola.
So I can't even like make a number up. I'm like 203.
Oh my god.
242.
Oh my god.
1975.
Stop it.
And so I gave her my number. She's like, I would love to keep talking to you more. I knew from that moment on, I was never gonna speak to this girl. And the minute she called me later that night, I did not pick up and I blocked it, okay? I'm not playing this game. I do not believe in God the Mother. But the point being, that was 6-7 years ago. They rolled up on me again at a Target this time around.
Oh god, they found you in your holy place.
Yeah, they caught me off guard. And I have a recording, but like when people approach me, I'm not like, what you trying to talk to me about? I'm like, hey girl, what's up?
Hello, buenos dias.
I was sending a voice note to my friend Margaret, and that's how I got it. And they're like, hey, I want to talk to you. I'm like, okay, girl, what do you want to talk about? She's like, Jesus. I'm like, I love me some Jesus. Let's talk about it. Let's dig into it. What's the tea? And she's like, oh, we're with this church in Middletown. We're non-denominational. So the pitch was a bit different this time around. I'm like, okay, cool. It's like, and we're celebrating the new year. Do you like waffles? I'm like, hell yeah, I like me some breakfast.
How do we go from... Okay, I would have been like, waffles, you say.
But the point being was like, oh, it's enticing. Like,
yeah, it's disarming.
I like some waffles. Cool. I like Jesus. Great. What's next? She's like, we're in a church in this town in Connecticut. I'm like, that's awfully far away. That's like a 45-minute drive. That's odd that you are here in this town, at this Target over here. I was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, what's your church's name? I was like, oh, if you give me your number, I'll text you the link. And I was
the link? What's the name, sweetheart?
Like, yeah, so we keep talking. I'm like, no, what's the name? And one of the girls, because it was two of them this time, was, oh, we're the World Mission Society of the Church of God. And my light bulb goes, not again.
Oh my God.
So I immediately Google it, and I'm like, is this your church? And like, it shows the town that they're in. I'm like, yeah. And I was like, cool. They did ask me for my number. I did give it to them, and I immediately blocked them.
Oh my God.
So if they find me. But the point being is, I could have been swindled into a cult. You know, they're looking for me to join, and I don't want to.
You know, at least with like the Beyhive and like the Barbs, it's a cult you willingly and openly walk into. These ones are a little more,
But they're crazy.
sneaky.
First of all, they're crazy people.
They're those who are strongly motivated with information that we just don't align with.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Like they need help. But I was listening to another podcast. They were talking about this cult called Nexium.
I've never heard of it.
So it's like a sex cult. It was crazy. First of all, if you hear the stories about these cults and how people get swindled into it, you're just like, how did you miss the signs, babes?
Yo, it just happens. Like, even like, you know, like what is the thing that everyone's doing? Like, it's like Forex trading and like those things are fucking cults too. Like, I never believed in it. I
know you didn't, but I told you it was a scam.
Yeah, and it's like, it's funny because like, y'all know who I'm talking about. Like, I know some of y'all are into Forex. I don't even know if it's Forex, but there's another one where it's like, oh, if you do the trading on the stock market, Forex, I think, is with the foreign exchange trade thingy majigger, which is legit, but the way y'all was peddling it, you know, a few years back was a little shaky-dakey.
Actually, I take it back. It's not a scam. It's an illegal transaction. You better watch it before you end up in jail. Yes.
But, I'm like, so I want to say a little while back, a friend of mine was like, yeah, I'm making all this money on the stock market, rah. And I was like, it's giving recession though, like, cause how are you making all this money? Like, you know, if you're really blessed, share the material. You know, they say if he's in the neighborhood, he won't pass me by. So don't pass me by. But like, it's funny because then they start taking pictures of like them walking out of planes and like staying in mansions. Scary. And then 3 of my friends posted the same photo of them coming out of these planes. And I said, so y'all was all on this plane together, this private plane, and y'all all just had the same mansion. And one of my friends was like, girl, it is a scam. Like, they got 60 plus people in these mansions. Like, the plane is not going nowhere. It's a backdrop for like, I'm like, oh, like, that's a scam.
It's a scam.
And it's really, really weird to me. Like, what really has never sat right with me is when people take advantage of friends and family for these scams. It's one thing when you don't know, but y'all get to a point where you're like,
you know,
it's a scam. Y'all know this. And y'all are like roping your friends and family into it. And that never sat right with me. No. I'm like, you don't see the Beyhive converting people, like baptizing you in the name of Beyonce.
Either you love Beyonce or you don't.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And like, so that's why I'm like, a lot of these things have me like, yo, like, first and foremost, the accountability starts and ends with us being able to be like, my behavior will not be dictated by an album release or a tour, or someone's dislike of another artist. Like that, that's them. You know what I'm saying? If Nicki Minaj want to beef with all of society, she can beef with all of society. That's her thing, apart from her music. Let's keep it apart from her music. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, now, if you try to make a quick buck, cool, leave me out of it.
Yes.
I'm like, if you're making so much money, why do you need to recruit people to also make money? Like, I'm like,
these pyramid, well, they're not pyramid schemes, they're called MLMs,
the multi-level
marketing. I'm like, y'all are just some scammers. But also what happens is a lot of these people have to invest a lot of money up front.
Yeah.
Like people.
So at that point, they're just trying to make it back.
Yes. I remember I was watching something about LuLaRoe, and to get your LuLaRoe storefront, you have to put like $5,000 down. And what they do is that you tell them, I want X amount of leggings, but they don't let you pick the color, anything. They just send you whatever the fuck they send you, and you gotta try to sell it. Who wants polka dot banana leggings in the color neon green?
Migos with theater art school. Now, if you're doing Jack the Giant, I've got what you need. Oh my God. I'm like, yo, like, but that's the thing. I'm like, yo, some of these things, like, I think cults really scare me because I'm like, I feel like they take advantage of people.
Yeah.
And I feel like they have to like train you to see something in
Oh,
people.
for sure.
Like whether it's a level of vulnerability, of fear, of defensiveness, whatever it is. I'm like, I feel like they take advantage of that. And like they weaponize it, or they, you know what I'm saying? And they and they make it for their own personal gain. And that to me has never sat well with me. But to wrap it up, y'all, as y'all prepare to buy these Beyhive tickets, be careful. There are scammers out there. Everywhere. All right? They have not released the tickets. Beyonce said no. So if someone tell you they got it, they're lying.
Liars. But people be scamming. It's so funny. Kayali's a fragrance, and someone posted like a fake fragrance, and everyone was like, oh my God, this new fragrance just dropped. And the person's like, no, this is actually someone who just made this up. It's scammers beware everywhere.
Yo, scammers literally are everywhere.
There's scammianas everywhere.
Yo, 2023, the goal is not to be scammed, y'all.
Yes. Stay woke. Keep your eyes open. Ears up.
Ears up.
Ears up.
All right, y'all. Y'all heard it here first. Eyes open, ears up. All right? Okay. This has been Esther.
This has been Lola.
And that's it for us, y'all. We will catch y'all in the next episode. Bye. Bye.